Thank you so much for dialing into Facebook Live. I am Seal Stanford, and it's great to be here with you today. So we're going to talk about the ability to investigate. And the ability to investigate is a pretty important ability if you want to be prosperous in anything, not just in the financial area, but in the financial area, just in life, whether it be having friends, a lot of friends, a lot of real estate, a lot of happiness, a lot of love, all those wonderful things that we want. And so the ability to investigate comes down to your ability to be able to observe, okay? And then your ability to make a decision, and then your ability to act. And so one of the demands, if you want to make money and not just live paycheck to paycheck, but, create wealth, is you must observe correctly. So what comes along with that is the ability to be focused and stay focused. So first of all, before I go any further, if you'd like the PDF that we're going to give at the end of this, go ahead and type investigate in the comment section. And if you would kindly do me one favor, I would love it if you would let me know if you're watching this live, just type in live. If you're watching this as a replay, type in the word replay. Thank you very much. So you have to be able to focus and stay focused. And one of the common patterns that we see among people when they're getting into something is a lot of times they'll start the investigation process and then they'll veer off. Okay, they won't stay on it. They're not able to stay focused and they go off and do other things. So you must be able to observe, and then you must be able to decide and then take action. So let me tell you what happens when a red zoner starts to investigate. So red zone, remember, is being in the wrong place at the wrong time, doing the wrong things. Okay, so if you're in the red zone and you start to investigate, basically you're going to come up with a lot of wrong answers. Okay, and wrong answers steer you in the wrong direction. Obviously, you won't get the results you want. Yellow zone, when you're in the yellow zone, which is kind of cautious, think of a traffic light, okay? You're cautious, right? It's difficult to make a decision. You straddle the fence. You can't go forward. You can't go backwards. You can't move sideways. You're just friggin' stuck, immobile. So what happens in the yellow zone when you're investigating is when you find answers, you're not sure of them. You can't make a decision. You can't go forward. We've all been there. But when you're in the green zone, you find right answers and you know that they're right answers. So one important thing in life, very important, is in order to have a successful life, you have to have right answers. That is a must. So when I was studying this week, I looked at the attribute, of having that ability to investigate. And when you have that ability to investigate, the attribute of that is you have a very high level of curiosity. And it took me back to, I started thinking about a baby and a child, because if you look at how curious a baby is when they start to crawl, they want to touch everything. They just want to reach out. They want to naturally feel stuff, pull stuff out, open cabinets. May drive you crazy if you're a control freak, but that is a natural state, right? That's your natural state. And then when the baby starts to walk, think about, then they can get into even more things, but they're even more curious. They really want to know. They want to touch things. They want to check it out. They want to pick it up, pull it out of the cabinet, all of those things. And so that is your natural state. I've heard a lot of clients tell me that they were raised, their parents raised them with this kind of precept or preconceived idea with children should be seen but not heard. Well, that will cut your curiosity, right? And that will cut your reach as well. So having that ability to investigate comes with your natural state, which is being curious. So I want to just give you a quick example of how I learned how to investigate. Okay. So, and I didn't learn this until I was in my 40s. Alan taught me this. Alan Walter, who is the founder and writer of this technology. Basically, I needed to buy a new car and I hated that process, hated it with a purple passion. The reason why I hated it is because I always knew when I walked out of a car dealership that I paid too much money for the car because I didn't know how to negotiate. Okay. And I always felt like that I'd been taken, that I didn't win with it. So really, really despised buying a new car. So he taught me how to buy a new car and how to win with it. And I'll give you this example because I really learned how to investigate. So basically, I knew I wanted an SUV, but I didn't know which SUV. And this was in 2005, and gas prices were climbing at that point. It was either 2005 or 2006. And interest rates were not as low as they are now. So anyway, on the weekends, it took me 4 months. On the weekends, I would go to Dallas and then I would go to different dealerships and I would test drive all these different SUVs that I have kind of had my eye on. I looked at the Fords, I looked at the Chevrolets, I looked at the probably the Mazdas, I looked at the Hyundai, I looked at just a variety of SUVs. And then I narrowed it down to the top three makers. And then I looked at the price, and then I looked at all the features that the car had on it. And then I looked at the interest rate that was being offered, the monthly note. And I looked at how much, I wrote down what was important to me. And what was important to me was the reliability. And remember, I lived 85 miles outside of Dallas. And so being able to get it serviced, how far would I have to drive? And then the cost of the service, and then the gas mileage, because I drove a lot between the ranch and the other place which I worked, which was with Alan. So I narrowed that down. And, it's funny how one car might give me better gas mileage, but the price of the car was a lot more expensive. And so at the end of the day, at the end of the 4 months, I narrowed it down to a couple. And one was more expensive. One saved a little bit more on gas or got more gas mileage. And so I had Alan look at the figures, and Alan was such a brilliant guy in math. He could just figure it up really quickly. And he said, okay, if you buy this car, even though it's maybe 30,000 and it's going to save you this much in gas, it's 30,000, and he would give me the difference. And if you buy this car, it's a little bit lower in price, but maybe you get 2 miles less, in gas mileage. And then he showed me the difference. And then I was able to make my decision. I knew. The other thing I did was, so that was my ability to investigate. I mean, I first created enough time to stay with it, to get all the information I needed. And it's not something I did every week, 7 days a week. I did it only on the weekends. Okay. And then by the end of the 4 months, I was so certain I got exactly what I wanted. I got a fantastic interest rate, drove out, and I never dread buying a car at all. And one other secret tip that I did, I never ever dealt with the sales representatives. I never wanted to get into that going back and forth. I always called the dealership and I spoke directly to the sales manager. I told him who I was. Basically kind of did it over the internet. I told him I knew what the price was because I had done that investigation. I knew what the invoice said, and I wanted to get their lowest price. And I told him I was talking to 2 other dealerships, and I didn't share the information between dealerships. I said, give me your best price. So I didn't go through. I cut out a lot of that game there and went directly to the source, and then was able to make my decision. So for those of you who have to buy a new car at some point in your life, I hope this helped. But my reason for sharing this is I learned how to observe. I learned how to decide, and then I learned how to make a decision. And man, when you find the right answer, you can really, really act pretty fast. So the ability to investigate, last point here, is it's your natural state to have a high level of curiosity. And if you don't have a high level of curiosity, there's a reason for it. So here is the process, and make sure you write this down, because this will recover your ability to have a high level of curiosity. And if you do have a high level of curiosity already and want to even expand it, do this process. So locate a time that you had a very high level of curiosity. Write out what you were doing. And after you write out what you were doing, write out what happened. Very, very, very important. And you will recover some right answers as you go along and some right action steps you took. So that's your process. I would love it if you'd run it on yourselves, and we would love, 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 like this, even more, if you would post it in the chat on what did you find out when you ran this process. Again, if you don't have a high level of curiosity, you're cheating yourself. That is your natural state.